I was a homer. I picked the Giants, and it helped me because Giants easily won 30-17. Helped me big in our little competition here. Cowboys were -1.5 against the Rams. We all picked the Cowboys. They barely won actually, 34-31. The Rams were winning most of that game. I'm surprised that the Cowboys were able to come back. I was kind of upset because I wanted to see the Cowboys lose.
I was scared, but I was honestly more happy to be trash talking Cowboys fans at the start of that game, knowing that we all picked the same team for that. It wasn't going to hurt me that much.
Right.
But unfortunately, the Cowboys did come back in that game.
So Packers +2 against the Lions. CB, both you and Nick picked Packers. You convinced me actually to pick the Lions. I did, and I was right. Lions won 19-7. Niners played the Cardinals. Me and CB picked Niners. Nick picked the Cardinals. Cardinals won 23-14. Big upset there. Broncos Seahawks. We all picked the Seahawks. Seahawks won 26-20. So currently the standings for the season is I'm in first place at 9-4, and CB and Nick tied for dead last right now, 8-5. CB, you think he'll come back this week?
Yeah, I went 2-3 last week. Not too happy with that performance, but I am certainly primed for a comeback this week.
All right, so now we're doing 5, I believe 5, right? 5 games this week. So let's start and pick those games. Niners playing the Eagles. Niners -4.5 in this game. Looks like we're all going with the Eagles here. I'm going with the Eagles because it seems like they always need to come back, and the Niners don't really look that impressive to me right now. They don't seem slow. They don't seem like the Niners team that we all knew. Trying to make Kaepernick, I don't know. Kaepernick's not looking comfortable right now, and it's showing me signs that Harbaugh could be leaving sooner than we think.
Yeah, I'm kind of shocked that the 49ers are -4.5 points on this game. They've looked absolutely atrocious in the second half the last 2 weeks against the Bears and the Cardinals, and Kaepernick is certainly included in that. I just struggle to believe that against a second half team in the Eagles that they're going to be able to hold any sort of lead this week. Especially given 4.5 points, I think the Eagles was certainly an easy pick here.
Okay, so moving on. Packers at Bears. Packers -2 against the Bears. I'm going with the Bears. CB, looks like you're going with the Bears too. CB, why are you choosing the Bears?
I just really don't have faith in the Packers anymore at this point, and it boils down to that. Aaron Rodgers has not looked like the Aaron Rodgers of old, and the fact that I almost started Kirk Cousins over him this week really shows how much confidence I have in the Packers right now. Eddie Lacy's done absolutely nothing, and the Bears' run defense isn't fantastic, but the Jets weren't able to exactly torch the Bears last week, and they had done so to some other decent run teams. So I think Eddie Lacy will struggle again this week. I think another struggling back in Matt Forte will break out this week. The Bears' offense, to me, is just one of the most dynamic in the league. You put Alshon Jeffrey and Brandon Marshall alongside each other, there's no way you can stop that duo. I think they're going to be primed for a big week, and Martellus Bennett will probably pick up a couple more touchdowns. Jay Cutler really likes to go to him in the red zone. I think the Bears' offense is just quite scary. They can literally do everything on the offensive end. I don't know if the Packers can really keep up with them. The Packers might win this game, but I don't see them winning by more than a point. I'm going to take the Bears.
All right, I'm going Bears too. Packers, I think it's the line's fault. The line really hasn't looked that well, the offensive line, which has given Rodgers less time to throw the ball. And Rodgers needs a little bit of time in the pocket. I mean, every QB does. But the Packers really have to step it up. It's just not looking pretty out there, and they need to fix it. This is looking like the 6-10 team that we saw the first time Rodgers was starting QB for them. They got to step it up. I mean, the Bears are home too. I think they got it. They're looking impressive right now. Starting to beat teams, starting to come back, showing they can come back from in games, beat teams with ease. They're looking good. Look like a good all-around team right here. So I'm going Bears. All right, moving on. Panthers +3.5 against the Ravens. Steve Smith playing against his former team at M&T Bank Stadium. Actually drove past it today, driving home, and I saw it actually driving past Baltimore. It was pretty cool. Big stadium. So CB, you're going with the Panthers. I'm going with the Ravens. I think that the Ravens, I think Joe Flacco is going to put on a show. I think the defense is just going to get torched in the secondary. Kuechly is really, obviously, their best player. I mean, I think they'll do well against the run, but I think they'll torch the secondary. They'll do well. I just don't see the Panthers, really, Benjamin's a really only good player offensively besides Cam Newton right now. And D'Angelo Williams is still hurt, so I don't really see the Panthers scoring a lot of points against the Ravens D. So I'm going with the Ravens here.
Yeah, I'm really reluctantly picking the Panthers here. I do really question the run game with the Panthers. They have so many injuries. Jonathan Stewart, D'Angelo Williams, Mike Tolbert have all dealt with injuries within the past week to the point where Fozzie Whitaker probably would have been the number one back this week if he didn't get hurt last week. Now, it looks like D'Angelo Williams at least probably will play, but it's a little scary at the running back situation. But I don't know if I trust Joe Flacco enough to against the Panthers. That run defense is really going to shut down a combination of Justin Forsett, Lorenzo Tagliafico, and Bernard Pierce, excuse me on that. I think the combination is not really one of the most daunting run games, and the Panthers having a really good defensive line are going to have a pretty easy job of getting to Joe Flacco and stopping the run game with not one of the strongest offensive lines in the league with the Baltimore Ravens. Now, I still don't trust the Ravens pass game enough. Steve Smith has had a fantastic year this year, but I don't see much else alongside him. Greg Olsen, I think, is going to have a big game for the Panthers. I think he's going to be the prime target of Cam Newton this week. I think he'll get 2 touchdowns this week, and I think that's why Panthers are going to win this game.
All right, Jags playing Chargers. Chargers supposed to win by 13 here, it looks like. It's in San Diego. This really couldn't be worse. Jacksonville, team that still hasn't won a game yet. This was pretty easy for you and me, CB, but Nick's going to try to get an upset here. He's going to root for the upset. He's picking the Jaguars, which I'm questioning it. For us, I think, speaking for both of us here, this is a pretty easy pick. Jags still a team that's struggling. Bortles making his first start. San Diego kind of been doing pretty well lately. I just really can't see San Diego not winning this game. So I'm going San Diego, and you are too. Pretty easy, I think, for both of us.
There was a big line last year with the Jaguars against the
Broncos, right?
I believe it was 21 or 28. It was the largest line in the history of the NFL. The Jaguars actually made a run at that game and were able to cover, but I believe the Chargers right now are on such a roll that they're going to be hard to stop. The Jaguars throwing a rookie quarterback out there, his first career start, that always spells trouble. 13 points is a lot to ask of a team to win. But the Chargers are clearly the better team here. That offense is really clicking, even without Ryan Matthews. I just feel like that the Jaguars are going to struggle to score more than 7 or 10 points. I think the Chargers will easily put up 21 or more. I think this should be a relatively safe game. Even with 13 points, I can see the Chargers winning by at least 17 points. I don't see this being a close game at all. Always reluctant to pick against a huge line, but I think here's one situation where I will do so.
And finally, Saints at Cowboys. We're going with the Saints here. Saints are supposed, I think they have a -3 here. Now, Drew Brees, he can't. He doesn't nearly play as well away as he does at home. But this isn't a dome, and Drew Brees is pretty good at domes. So I don't see Drew Brees doing terrible in this game. I think he'll do pretty well. The Cowboys defense is probably the worst defense in the league. It's definitely up there. So I actually see the Saints kind of winning here with ease. I think Romo still isn't figured it out yet with his offense. So I see the Saints here winning and the Cowboys getting a loss.
Yeah, we've never seen Tony Romo really been able, since his first season, where he was able to make a run after taking over for Drew Bledsoe. We never really saw him able to string a lot of games together. Now, they won 2 in a row after a big comeback in St. Louis, as we talked about earlier in the show. It's going to be hard for me to believe that Tony Romo can string 3 really good games together The Saints are also in kind of desperation mode after losing their first 2 games. Coming into this game, they need another big win. I think Drew Brees is going to have a very good game here. Kyrie Robinson in place of Mark Ingram, who's still hurt, has been running the ball pretty well. I think he'll have a good game. The Saints offense really needs to have a statement game, so to speak, against the Cowboys. I think it's really going to happen this week.
Okay, so that was our picks for Garden State Sharks. So now we're going to the suicide pool. As you know, us three are in a competition to see who wins the suicide pool this year. And Nick is actually out. He picked the Texans last week, and that's why you don't go against the G-Man, my friend. Me and CB are still in. I picked the Colts because they played the Jags. CB picked the Patriots. This week we're both picking the Chargers. As we explained before, this is a pretty easy pick for both of us. We're not really worried about it. If the Chargers lose against the Jaguars in San Diego, we will both stop watching football, I think, because this is an easy pick for both of us. I'll speak for CB on this one. So moving on, so going to do some hometown round-off. We're going to start off with college football since that went on today. I'll quickly go over that. Rutgers actually beat Tulane with ease today. This was a good win for Rutgers. Rutgers has been doing pretty well lately. They've been playing very well. Really making New Jersey proud, I think. They're 4-1, beating Tulane 31-6. No problem here. And Gary Noah actually doing well for once, throwing 3 touchdowns. And just playing a great game in general. 14-21, 291 yards, 4 touchdowns actually, I'm sorry, 1 pick. No rushing touchdowns for them. So 28 points there with the touchdowns and the field goal as well. Tulane really had no offense at all. They put in 3 QBs. It was just a bad outing for them. So good win by the Scarlet Knights. So CB, we did have a few baseball games today as well, though.
Yeah, the Yankees already today, they played the Red Sox today at Fenway Park. Derek Jeter's second to last game. He went 1 for 2 before being pulled for a pinch hitter. Now, that game was not at all close at any point, except for maybe the first inning. Masahiro Tanaka took the hill and did not have his best start, to say the least. He gave up 7 runs in 1 1/3 innings. He was pulled in the second inning. 5 of those runs were earned, so not his best start at all. That dropped his record to 13-5, and his ERA went up to 2.77. 1 and 2. He pitched 1 2/3 innings. The Red Sox scored 9 runs in the second inning, or 9 runs through the second inning. They got no home runs, believe it or not, which is surprising at Fenway Park. It was just a barrage of hits. Preston Claiborne came in after Tanaka and tried to stop the bleeding. He ended up giving up 2 more runs, as are also unearned as well. So the Yankees were in a 9-0 hole after 1 inning, and they ended up losing 10-4 after they scored runs in the 7th and 8th innings. For the Mets, now surprisingly, I did not have the Mets game on in the background today, as I usually do for the hometown roundup. The Mets are tied with the Astros, 0-0 in the top of the 6th. Rafael Montero is making the start today for the Mets. No runs through 5 innings so far. Making the start in place of Jacob deGrom, who the Mets shut down for the year. He has a 2.63 ERA and is considered by most to be the favorites to win the Rookie of the Year over Billy Hamilton.
Yes.
And it's just starting to look back after the first month of the season. If I told you a New York pitcher would win Rookie of the Year, Matt, what are the chances you would have thought that it was not Masahiro Tanaka, but Jacob deGrom?
I didn't even know who Jacob deGrom was till like June. None of us did. So this is I'm very happy. I mean, Tanaka, he still probably has a good shot at winning it, even though he was hurt. So 2 New York pitchers with Rookie of the Year awards. I'll take that.
No, Jose Abreu is winning Rookie of the Year.
Oh, right, that too. I forgot Jose Abreu. Those Cuban signings. The Mets got to get one of those guys. They need to get a Cuban player. Because they could have shot
Still
Abreu,
not.
and they said no.
They better get that left fielder. Yasmani